So in this tutorial, I'm going to share something with you guys that I think is very useful when it comes to figure drawing. Actually, just about drawing anything, especially natural forms. And it has to do with what is generally known as rhythm lines or lines of rhythm. Now, when we think of like lines of rhythm, we generally think of like how you have say like the torso. It's like this, and then you have this sense of continuity, or you can say continuity or fluidity. So there are lines that seem to capture this sense of continuity or fluidity between or among adjacent forms. So in other words, you can use one line and it seems to express a particular flow from one form to the another. So like, see how this captures the profile of the figure? See, so in a general, and this, you see it a lot in the figure, okay? It's just like how you can think of, you see this, like the line of balance, as I normally describe it. This line of balance, you can see it along the profile of the figure. Like this can be the back of the head, this can be the back of the rib cage, this can be the back of the pelvis, this can also be the back of the leg, this can also be the back of the thigh, because this could be the head. You see the same continuous shape. This is the back, that's the chest, the neck. This could be the back of the pelvis, like your butt, and here again you see the same curve, the back of the thigh, and then it goes to the back of the calf. All right, so this sense of fluidity, this sense of continuity between forms generally captures the idea of what rhythm lines are all about. Now, this also applies to, pretty much any pose you can find, whether it's like, you can see it in the hand, on the arm, the fingers, you see it all over the body, all right? The sense of flow, the sense of continuity between forms, it's like they're almost in sync, all right? Now, what I'm going to discuss, though, goes a little bit beyond this. It's within this same vein, but it goes a little bit beyond, because it more addresses proportion. It addresses capturing how everything relates to everything else. Now, this is something that I think would be very useful for you guys, because it helped my drawings a lot, and it's very important to capturing proportions, making things look right, especially when you're drawing the figure. Now, what I did, I just downloaded some random pics from the internet, and just to show you that it just occurs naturally. This is not anything that it's just an idea that I come up with. Okay, it is an observation, but you'll see that it just occurs naturally. Now, hopefully, I won't get sued for some of these pictures that I downloaded and printed out, but I'm just going to show you what I mean in terms of carrying this whole idea of rhythm lines a little bit further. And in other words, it will help you to be able to capture a natural sense of flow in your figures. This is especially important for like gesture drawing, and when they discuss lines of action, what are they talking about? Lines of action are generally lines that describe an entire movement or pose. So it's like, for example, if you're drawing this, you can describe a line of action in this way. See, because this is the dominant line. Now, does this mean it's the only line? No, of course not. You could actually use something like this. Because you may feel like this is more potent as capturing the pose. It's up to you how you describe it. But what I'm emphasizing here is not just about rhythm lines in this sense, or the line of action in this sense. And I think I'll go to this in more depth, and also this in more depth, because I wanted to do a series on figure drawing. But I figured that this would be very useful for you guys to incorporate in drawing the portrait, the figure. And it's about all natural forms. This is something you'll find that is very important. Now, when you're capturing proportions, you're concerned with measuring things. How long is here compared to here, and here compared to here, and stuff like that. Okay. Now, another thing that's very important, and this is how I think of rhythm lines, is that I believe things just naturally fall into sync with everything else. And what I mean by rhythm lines when I'm drawing is I look for how things tend to flow into things. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean, like, look at, I'm just gonna look at this and find tons of them. And I have a whole, I think maybe I have like 4 or 5 pictures here to show you examples of what I mean. If you follow this leg, all the way up to the thighs, all the way across, you can feel a straight line running all the way across, just like that. And it's about alignments, okay? Seeing how things align with each other. But you're not just talking about align, see? Not how just things seem to be aligned vertically or diagonally. It can be a curve as well, okay? It doesn't have to be a straight line, I'm saying. So let's see. I'm going to show you a whole ton of examples. And if you're drawing, these are things you should look out for because they help your drawing to be in proportion. And it also helps it to give a natural, a very harmonious kind of a proportion. Not just having things be, correct in relation to size and position and so on, but it creates a natural flow in your drawing. Now, I'm going to show you some examples of what I mean. Now, let's zoom in a little bit so you can see the areas that I'm talking about. Okay. Now, I'm going to, let's start at the upper body. Now, when you're drawing, you should try to be aware of things like this. See how this arm is extended up? Now, if you run a line along here, okay, you will notice that it continues right through the head. See that? All the way down to the thighs. You see that? When you're drawing, you should be aware of stuff like that. See how right here, I guess this is like the top, the edge of the shorts. Notice how you can run this line all the way down like so. See how things just naturally flow into each other? That's what I mean. If you notice this line flows right here. You can see that the deltoid, it crosses the chin right into the arm. Those, when you're doing gesture drawing, those are the types of things you look for. You look for dominant lines. You look for flow lines, lines of continuity, lines of fluidity. See, same way you can sense. See how this is the midline of the chest. It flows just like that. You can see how this line flows right like that. Observations like that will help your drawing tremendously. I'm telling you. Like when you're drawing, that's why they say when you're drawing, you look more and draw less. Like you really observe what you're looking at. And it will help you to think of the whole and not just, a particular part of the drawing or get lost in details. This makes you be aware of how to connect things. And if I continue, I'm sure I could see a lot more. And it doesn't, see, if you notice, it doesn't just is limited to just contours. You can use a shadow as well. You can use the edge of a shadow, okay? You can use the edge of a muscle. Anything that you see creates this continuity is useful, all right? Let's see if we can find some more here. Okay, this is another thing that's also useful. If you notice, you can find see how this is right here. This is the side of the foot. This swings, if you notice, this swings just like that. See, things like that are useful to think about because it passes right above the kneecap, right below the end of the hand, and right above the instep. You see what I'm saying? Little things like that are very, 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 very useful when you're drawing. Very useful. And especially when you're doing gesture drawing, if you think about these things, if you're thinking about how that flow. That could be, that one line could be one line that you start with, or one line that you focus on. The other one could be, you know, one like this. You see? And then from there, your figure just develops. You see that? See, that's how you capture flow in your figure drawings. You look for the big sweeping movements. Now, and I'm sure if we kept looking at this, we'd see tons more examples. And that's why it's good you study the figure. Okay, let's look at this one. This one, there are tons of examples here. Now, for example, let's look at, and I'm sure while you're looking at this, you're seeing some yourself. This is one that I think stands out. If you look at this, see this, the curve of the foot? Look at how it flows. See, that's one movement. When you're drawing, you're looking for things like that. Look at this one. See, I'm just making one curve. I'm not forcing this movement. It just naturally flows. And you'll find that that happens a lot with the human figure. Things just naturally just flow into themselves. You know, the gluteal crease, you can see how it just swings. Just like that. It's almost like it captures it cuffs the feet, you know. Same thing how this comes right to the end of the knees, you know. All those things are things that you should be looking for. That will capture a sense of completeness, okay? Because it's working, and that's the thing about the drawing process that makes this exciting, is that it's helping you with proportions, but it's also helping you with rhythm and making the entire drawing seem intact. See this line? See, those things just naturally occur. Just naturally occur. You'll find it in all your drawings. This could go this way, or this could even go this way. It runs right along the jawline. See, it's really incredible how these things work. See, the same thing here, where the end of the breast is. Incredible stuff. And you'll find that it just happens naturally. Look at this curve. Now, does it mean you have to use all these things? No, of course not. But it's good to be aware of these things, because that's how you capture rhythm, natural rhythm in the figure. See where this gluteal muscle ends here? Same thing. See? And the edge of the arm. You capture natural flow of things. Oh, as a matter of fact, look at this. Look at how the size of the face flows right into the side of the figure. You see, those are the types of things that you look for. They just naturally occur. All right? They all see how you can feel this movement here? All of these lines are they just naturally speak to you, you know, and you just follow them. And that's how you know, I'm just giving you ideas on how you find them. They will just naturally speak to you. Okay, this is an example of what I was talking about as well. See how you will find that the contours will do a lot of the talking, but sometimes you'll find that just using a shadow is sometimes useful, like this. See that? So you can use that as well to speak, because I mean, remember that the shadow is based on the figure. The figure creates the shadow. So in a sense, it's still emphasizing that sense of flow and rhythm in the body, you know. everything is just seeming to flow into everything else. All these lines, even the clothing. See, this follows the same line. This follows the same line. That's how you think about it. Even with a figure as just sitting there, and you still find these lines. You can find it almost everywhere. See, you think about alignments like that. See how this line follows the chin? And that same line continues down here, just naturally. You see that? Look at how the arm follows this leg. It's like that. If you continue this, it goes all the way up here. And I'm not forcing these things. See, you see that in the body, and that's what when the body naturally just creates these rhythms, things just continue into each other naturally. But when you're drawing, you have to look for these things, because that's what sometimes can make your drawing look robotic. It doesn't seem to have a natural flow to it, because sometimes you're not aware of these things and make it a point of duty to capture them. See, the throat follows the torso. Follows all the way up. Same movement. And sometimes you'll not only find that things like continue like this. Sometimes you find that things are like this. And that's still rhythm. That's rhythm. Sometimes you'll find that things are like this. You'll see things like this. And you try to pick up on those things. Okay? You emphasize them. That's what... See, as human beings, when we look at things, we see a lot. Okay? Now, your job as an artist is to screen, emphasize, and de-emphasize. Pick out things that you think are worth getting the attention of the viewer. You just don't copy exactly what's there. That's boring. See? You have to say something. And that's how you develop your style. You develop your statement. You, as an artist, are choosing what to emphasize, what to de-emphasize, what to exaggerate. So these are things that guide you in that direction. If you look at Van Gogh, he emphasizes certain lines, and he sees that in the clouds, he sees that in the trees, he sees that in the buildings, he sees that in the hair, he sees that in the plants, in the figure. See what I'm saying? He's choosing what to emphasize and what to de-emphasize. So this is, a natural way of being observant. See, this is like all what I was saying here. Like, see this verticality here. The arm, the front of the arm, the front of the shoulder, and the back of the head. See that? That creates a natural sense of rhythm. And that's balanced with all this, diagonal movement. The back, the front of the torso, the arms, And this is another thing. You could be doing this drawing and you find out, okay, the back has a certain diagonal, the front of the torso has a certain diagonal, the leg has a certain diagonal. Now they're all different. You could deliberately adjust them so they're very similar, and that emphasizes that natural rhythm of. And when you look at your drawing, for some reason, it will be pleasing to look at. And those are the subtle things that really professional artists do and emphasize to give their drawing this aesthetically pleasing look. When you're not sure, why does it look so? Those are the little things that they do. Okay, so it's very important that you become aware of those things as early as possible, so you can start picking them up and then learning to manipulate them. All right. And yes, I did choose these pictures because they're dynamic, they're in a lot of movement to emphasize that. But trust me, that you can find them in any figure. You see any figure. Just take a moment and look here. They'll just speak to you. The more you look, the more you'll see. It's a very strong movement. You see this line? How it continues with the thigh? The front of the thighs. See that? Look at even the line on the clothing follows the line of the arm. You see that? Actually, even this line, you can say it seems to continue all the way around. This, the back contour, actually follows right to the front. See that? And it doesn't have to be things that are close. There can be things that are far apart that you see a connection with. All right. You can think of this as flowing all the way here, or you can think of even this line. Look at this line. Everything is on this one line to the front of the kneecap. See that? You'll find that happens a lot in the body. Things just align perfectly. It's almost like you're thinking like, wow, this is was just there waiting for me. If you look at the clavicle here, if you can see it really well. Yeah, if you look at the clavicle, you see this line? It just naturally occurs like that. Look at that. It's perfect. You know, and that's just the way nature is. You see these things just naturally occur, and it's just your job to use them. You know, just find them and capture them. Look at the fingertips, how it aligns with this line. You see that? This extends all the way to the end of the foot. And see, for example, I'm doing this drawing, and I notice that the hand points all the way down to this. Even if it's not perfectly aligned, I may make it so, just to emphasize that rhythm. You see what I'm saying? Then, of course, you should always think about how things in the distance. So this arm should not just be this arm out there by itself. You should think of how does that arm relate to the rest of the body. See? And that's how you make connections in your drawing. So just like I was mentioning about, you know, having parallel lines like that, they create a sense of rhythm. So here you have the thigh creates one. That is echoed with this line. You see what I'm saying? And in the same way, you're finding a balance. This one is balanced with this one. See, those are things you emphasize in your work, okay? And actually see another echo here with this one, and this one. See, those are things that just naturally occur, and it's your job as the artist to see these things, that, you know, train yourself to look for these things and emphasize them in your drawing, and it will make your drawing stand out. I'll just do a last one, and really, you know, pardon me for showing you all these nude images, but I just thought they were very effective in showing like how to use these, make these observations, you know. Obviously, this is perhaps one of the strongest lines. But as I said, you will see your lines that speaks to you, okay? See that? And these are just images I found on the internet, just randomly. If you notice, this line continues all the way around. Everything is just continuous. They flow into each other. See that? You see this parallel line? It goes all the way to the tip of the fingers. You see that? This drawing, this image is just filled with that type of stuff. And another thing too is that it doesn't have to be these big relationships. Even just looking in one area, you can see small relationships. Okay, like for example, you can see from here to here. You know, that's just kind of like one straight curve, even with the edge of the hair. You see what I mean? Just one flow, one flow. This side continues right up the deltoid, right at the edge of the deltoid. So if you're drawing this, you know that, okay, I'm going to make the edge of the deltoid and right where the side lines up to. See, those are the things that helps you getting your proportions right. Look at how this lines up with the top of the head. See that? See, things like that helps your drawings. Just like that. See what I mean? See this? You can think of this as one line. The foot, and the right at the hip. See that? See where the elbow is? It lines up with the back of the leg. Things like that. See, those are the types of things you look for, all right? See, even in terms of going across the drawing, look at this line. See here how it lines up with this. See that? All right, guys. So, you know, hopefully that was useful. I'm sure you see it for yourself, and that's something that I have trained myself to be aware of when I draw, and to see, and it takes the idea of rhythm lines a little bit further. Okay, so it teaches you to think of whole. You know, you're thinking of the whole. You're thinking of proportions. You're thinking of flow. You're thinking of rhythm. All right, it teaches you to think of emphasis. See, when you start, and I'm going to do a tutorial on emphasis especially, when you start thinking about these things, it gives you more command of the drawing process. You're not just being a slave to what you see, as I always say. Like if you're drawing from a photograph, you're not just drawing whatever you see here, okay? You're emphasizing things, and that's where your creative liberties come into play, you know? So you can draw this, and it looks different. But it looks more pleasing. Why? Because you emphasize what you want to emphasize. It's like when you watch a movie. We know movies are not true to life. Of course not. The writer or the creator is emphasizing things about life that they think is important to be aware of. Okay? You can't pay attention to all the details, because in that case, it might as well you just set a camera down and just let it record whatever. And that is not interesting. Okay? Your drawing is also telling a story about the subject and about you. You are emphasizing what you think is important. You're looking for relationships that you think is important, and you emphasize those relationships, and then it will be aesthetically pleasing. All right, but it will take some practice, you know, sharpening up your observation skills and your awareness of certain relationships, and you know. But I would say that, you know, definitely you'll see a big improvement in your drawing when you start doing stuff like that, especially when it comes to like gesture drawing and capturing flow and movement and stuff like that. You'll definitely see an improvement. I guarantee it. All right, guys. So hopefully you got something useful from that that you can apply into your own drawings.